All right, I think I got that everything set up already. I'm quick. Hey guys, welcome in. Vicky's getting some stuff ready for the squirrel saw, so we're gonna be over here for maybe another, I don't know, hour or so. And then there was me. I'm all by myself. Hey guys, welcome in. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. There we go, there's an 8-inch shaft. It's running good. Alright, so we're just going to put our test whirl on. Take our story stick and transfer our lines over. We're making an 8-inch shaft. Alright, now we're going to burn some decorative lines. Alright, so we're turning hard maple. When I ordered these, I ordered them oversized so I could true them up. This one is not straight to begin with. So we're going to bring the diameter down. We're going to be using this wrench as a caliper. So since the wrench fits over the wood, we know we're on size. So we did all that with the spindle gouge. Now we're moving to, that was the roughing gouge, now we're moving to the spindle gouge. So it's running nice and true. Ah, there we go. Right? It's not that big. Yep. So yeah, roughing, spindle. Yeah. I've never heard that one before. What's my favorite thing about working with wood? The process. Something about it. Working with your hands just gives you some kind of satisfaction that, you know. You know, I do a lot of laser engraving and 3D printing. But there's something about using your hands, you know? Oh, I also like getting paid. I like the money. So right now we're making drop spindles that are used to spin yarn. Yeah, this is my day job. Yeah. I mean, it's a totally different skill set. Yeah, the first thing you learn with CNC or laser engraving, or even 3D printing. The first thing you learn is the machine wants to eat itself. So the first thing you gotta do is make sure that you don't let the machine destroy itself because you don't know what you're doing. And wood turning, right? But you're more directly involved in this. Yeah, and these spindles are so thin that, you know, I have to do a lot of supporting with my hands. There's really not a good place to put a steady rest on here. Bolt it down. Yeah, I used to make crochet hooks. It's just a matter of time. I don't have time to do that. Spindles are pretty much all I do these days. I mean, I'll make like lucettes and some other fiber tools, but yeah. Yeah, I used to make the crochet hooks that had like the big handles, like almost like the furls. When I crochet, I don't use a pencil grip. I use more of a closed hand grip. Yeah, so I do spin a lot of yarn. I do knit. I do crochet. I weave a little bit. Oh, I got ya. Yeah, I've had some pretty janky lathes in my life. So you can see how far this is off. See it wiggle, wiggle, wobble, wobble. So we're going to bring the diameter down and then check it out. Yeah, this one's very not straight. So you might be asking yourself, why don't I just use a center gauge and stick it in? Well, if I would do that, I would only be on the center of this plane right here. So it'd be the center, but only right there. It doesn't take into account for the whole thing. So I eyeball it, start it up, and then set it in. I don't know if this is salvageable. It's pretty bent. That's what she said, yeah. Yeah, so this lathe here is a Laguna Revo 1216. So it's their midi size, but for me it's perfect. I don't make really large things. So for the most part, oh, there's nothing. We're talking about grips for the first time. I hear the term, but don't quite understand what you mean. Well, let me grab a hook. It pretty much depends on how you were shown. Some people use a pencil grip like this, like you're holding a pencil, and they manipulate with their fingers. Well, I've got carpal tunnel, so I really don't have that motion. So I hold it more either like this or like this and maneuver it that way. So if you're going to hold it like a knife grip, you want more girth to grab onto. That's what she said. Yeah, we were talking about crochet hooks. That's okay. So yeah, as far as the tooling goes for the turning here on the lathe, I tend to use traditional tools. So gouges, skews. Ah, okay. Nope. I do have some carbide tooling. I've got 2 sets. You know, depending what you're doing, carbide's awesome, but I really prefer traditional tools. So yeah, this is carbide. So you got a little carbide tool head. When it gets dull, you just turn it. And then you just keep turning it. And then you just replace the carbide here. Hey, not a problem. Have a great night. So I'm trying to keep the majority of the wood chips from flying over the top of my exhaust here and on the sides and on the bottom. So I've got like a bunch of cardboard and plexiglass right now. I'm just trying to see what works. I mean, no matter what you do, you're always going to have wood chips coming at you and on the floor. But if I can limit the stuff going that way, it would make me happy. So not this weekend, but next weekend we have a show, and then that's in Madison, so it's about hour and a half drive from us. And then the weekend after that, so 3 weekends, we have a show in Minnesota. Shepherd's Harvest. They're both fiber festivals. The one in Madison is an alpaca show. And then Shepherd's Harvest is kind of more sheep related. We've never done the show in Minnesota before. We've attended it like 3 different years. But we never vended, so this will be our first time. And they let you tent camp on site. So we're just going to pitch a tent. That's what she said. And then after that show in Minnesota, we have a break until September. And then we have 3 big shows pretty close together. We have Wisconsin Sheep and Wool. And then Texas, DFW. So the Dallas-Fort Worth show. And then after that we have SAF, which is in North Carolina. It's kind of by Asheville. So I have to pick out a day or 2 this week or next week to start sublimating. I have to make some project bags and some coffee cups. Well, I have to put pictures on project bags and coffee cups. Then I gotta check, see how the keychains are going. I might have to laser engrave or sublimate some keychains. I think I got plenty of earrings made up. So if you're just tuning in, we're turning hard maple, and we're making shafts for Turkish drop spindles that are used to spin yarn with. But as far as spindle turning goes, I mean, this could be a magic wand, it could be a pencil. If I was making a baseball bat, it would be the same basic process, or like a banister for your stairs. Hey, how's it going? Welcome in. How you doing today? Good to be here again. I'm going to be moving off the lathe onto the scroll saw maybe about a half an hour. My girlfriend's laying out some spindles right now for me to cut out. So we are making Turkish drop spindles today. So this is what they look like when they're done. This one isn't sanded or finished yet. So we're making this part right now. In a little bit we'll be cutting out some of these. They'll be a different shape. Yeah, so these are for making your own yarn. This is what came before spinning wheels. Way before the Industrial Revolution. We've been using spindles since at least Neolithic times. So basically when we stopped running around naked or wearing animal skins, we were spinning. You know, but you're talking about, you know, the ability to make fishing nets, you know, baskets, and clothing. Besides that, sails for ships. It's a very early, simple machine. So they come in a lot of different shapes, sizes, depending on what you're using them for. A tool that's good for cotton may not be good for wool. Hello, sunshine. How's it going? If you're curious what they look like when they're done, I do have some links in the description to my web stores. So we are turning hard maple. So I buy these directly from the company that makes them. They make them per order, so they don't have like, you know, a box sitting around for 5 years or whatever. So for a lot of years, I would buy like a big, thick 6/4, 8/4 inch thick piece of wood, and then cut it down into little squares, and then turn the squares. By doing it this way, by buying the doweling, it saves a lot of waste. I'm not making as much wood chips, and it also makes it a little bit quicker to make them. So buying these is more expensive, but the time it would take me to do all the machining, I think it's pretty much a wash. Oh, that sucks. Looks like you got her plugged back in. Let's do a 7-inch. There we go. Hey, 720. Yep. So I'm all excited. I added a floor sweep today to my dust collector. Today we're making Turkish spindles. These are the shafts again. So this is what we're making. Okay, this has got a bit of vibration. We're going to bring it down and make a 6-inch shaft instead of an 8. Yep, so we have 2 shows coming up. Okay, not the shaft. Yeah, well, we're going to be back on the scroll saw probably the next hour or so. My girlfriend's laying them out right now. She just has some bolts to drill. Yep, so we're just making the shaft parts right now. So we are putting wax on these. So I hope everybody in the U.S. got their taxes in. We're filed for an extension. I hate to brag, but we got our taxes in yesterday. right, have a good one. Yeah, I'm just kind of zoning out here. Thank you. Alright, we'll walk through this one, what we're doing. Alright. So the first thing we're going to do is grab our roughing gouge. We're going to bring the diameter down to fit on this wrench. Now I'm going to be making a 7-inch shaft, so that's that green line there. That's where my taper needs to end. So everything on this side is going to be a hair under 1/4 of an inch. Now we're going to switch from the roughing gouge to a spindle gouge. This doesn't take off as much material, but it leaves a smoother finish. So I'm just going to sand just this taper here. Alright, we've got a lot of vibration, so we're going to make a small shaft. So this right here is my test whirl, and this is my story stick. So I'll register it to the story stick, transfer the lines. So the little ones doesn't get the beads, they just get a single line burned in them. So we're going to burn it in this line with a piece of wire I have here. A little sanding. Burnish. Wax. We're going to refine the shape a little bit. There we go, there's a little one. Alright guys, well, I am going to call it a stream. I forgot I have to make a phone call, so thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it, and we'll catch you again next time. Have a great day, guys.